We've all grown up with American movies and TV. We know this world and we understand it. So why is it that Chinese films find it much harder to illustrate their society to a global audience? Because through so many Chinese films, I think we have the opportunity to gain much more perspective. So what do you picture when you think of China? The images we see are more than common. They make up our collective experience of a country that most of us will never see in person and very few will get the opportunity to truly understand. We think of factories, communism, Tiananmen Square, the world's largest population, Kung Fu, Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan. More recently we think of business, international trade wars, diplomatically difficult incidents, Hong Kong protests and social credits. Not to mention that, as I'm writing this, we're in the middle of a global pandemic that began in a place most people had never heard of until recently.
In the city of Wuhan.
But what do most of us really know about Chinese cinema? Well, a lot of us know Hong Kong cinema, which was the powerhouse of the Asian market from the 50s and into the 90s, with many different eras of cinema that I wouldn't go into now because there just wouldn't be enough time. Hong Kong film was huge. By the 90s, there were thousands of production companies and directors pushing boundaries in storytelling in all sorts of genres, from kung fu comedies to art house and alternative films that were often very politically motivated. While all of this was going on in Hong Kong, on the other side of the border, stories were also being told. In the mid-80s, after years of stagnation and a confinement to military and revolutionary stories designed to educate rather than entertain,
你的想法很好啊。刚才你也批判了资产阶级的教育制度。
the grip loosened slightly following the reform and opening up era. This allowed filmmakers of the so-called fifth generation of Chinese cinema to make their mark and tell the stories they hadn't been able to previously. Written about in the memoirs of the legendary Beijing Film Academy professor Ni Zhen, the graduates of the early 80s included directors like Zhang Yimou, Chen Kaige, Zhang Zhenjiao, and Tian Zhuangzhuang, who produced some groundbreaking cinema focused on the depth and meaning of more personal struggles, and due to their educational background, they were able to put cinematography at the forefront of their storytelling. The mid-90s saw the explosion of the sixth generation. After Tiananmen Square, a tight clasp of the arts was back in force, and some of the fifth generation were finding themselves increasingly censored. This new generation had to tell their story in a much more underground way, with many of their films being made illegally, sometimes even on handheld camcorders. In the words of a 2002 article from The Guardian, if the fifth generation's films were like a stay in the Beijing Hilton, the sixth generation experience is like a night in a backpacker's hostel. Directors like Jia Jiangke and Wang Xiaoshuai both took more of an interest in the stories of marginalized people and those on the peripheries of this new society. Over time, things loosened up to where we are now. The new Chinese cinema grew in part out of a need to challenge the immense profitability of Hollywood movies, also due to an opening up of the cultural sphere of the country. The incorporation of Hong Kong as a special administrative region in 1997 also meant that cultural exchange was easier, and as a result, Hong Kong cinema has had a huge impact on its landscape today. Mainland China is undoubtedly as fascinating as any other region's cinematic history, but the images of China we're used to seeing today do not do justice to some of the truly impressive pieces of art being produced there, or to the real issues that are present in contemporary China. The huge blockbuster films like Wandering Earth and The Great Wall with Matt Damon for some reason feature none of the subtlety and cultural nuances that make foreign cinema so good, and instead look like a mimicry of American entertainment. But there are some really great films being made too, and if you want to have a better understanding and see a very different side of China, these are the films you should be watching. Hello and welcome back to Gully China. Thank you so much for watching this video and thank you for coming to the channel. It's been about 2 years since I put out a video, so I'm really excited about this new series which is going to be a short series just based on the kind of themes and issues in contemporary China and how they are portrayed through Chinese film. If anybody has any feedback for me along the way, please do let me know. I am not an art student or a film student, nor have I ever been. So I do not have any prior experience at actually talking about art or judging it, critiquing it, I should say. So yes, I am learning with you. Remember to like, share and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, and I'll see you next time.